here he is today, not only walking, but worshiping. Yes, sir. That's a miracle right there, I'm telling you. And Lynn Davis, you weren't far from that accident scene either. So we're grateful that God spared your lives and was here today. By the way, you just saw our youth leave, and they're heading out for that mission trip. So be in prayer for them today as they're traveling, and then the rest of the week as they're ministering to students and all throughout. Well, I hope you can run fast. The bus is moving. So, I'm just kidding. We'll see how that soccer practice worked on your speed. And see, people say church announcements aren't important. Oh, my goodness. So proud of those kids and their passion for giving up their weeks in the summer to go and minister to kids. So, well, the title of the sermon today is "The Heat Is On." There we go. Now, if you're like me and you grew up in the 80s and you love Miami Vice, you're thinking this is Miami Vice. This is Glenn Fry and The Heat Is On. But that's not what it's about. And it's not even about the temperature outside. So you'll have to kind of stay with me now, stay awake, make it to the end of the sermon, you'll kind of know why the title is what it is. But I have given you a hint, and if you've been a Baptist long enough or been in church long enough, you know what Malachi chapter 3 is all about. And so if you have your Bibles with you, go ahead and make your way there to the last book of the Old Testament. If you make it to Matthew, you're going too far, hang a left. And you go to Malachi chapter 3. Or you're welcome to follow on the screens behind me. It'll be there as well. Now, when I mentioned Malachi 3, I kind of paid attention to the look on your faces. And to some of you that actually know what that passage is about, you're looking at me like this. And you're sitting there, some of you are thinking, we picked this week to come to church? Of all the weeks, I should have stayed home this week. Well, let me say this. You know by experience that this subject we're dealing with today is tithing or stewardship. And some of you right now are saying, here we go, another Southern Baptist sermon on guilting me to give a tithe. Well, you can breathe. That ain't going to happen here today. I'm not going to guilt you one bit because for lots of reasons. One, it ain't going to help none. Number two, I've never been motivated by guilt. That never make me want to do anything. In fact, if you tried to guilt me into doing something, it made me more stubborn than not to do it. Kind of a mule head in that way. But I can't promise you today that as we go through the scriptures that God doesn't convict you. So, with that said, go ahead and have your notes ready, and let's jump into this and see what we can find out in the scriptures. The subject, and again, please understand, I know this subject's not popular. I don't preach it that often. In fact, if you're visiting today or you're not, or you're kind of new to Bethel, you're thinking, man, I bet that preacher preaches on tithing all the time. No. It's not that I downplay it either. I don't want that to be misunderstood, that I neglect it thinking that it's not important. I think it's an important topic. In fact, I think it's one of the most important topics in freeing us to live a free life and not be in bondage to money. I think that's why it's there, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But I don't do that. I think I preach on it like an average about once a year. You just happen to pick the Sunday that I'm doing it. But I understand the subject's not very popular. In fact, I was reading a poll taken by an online site called The Holy Observer. And it was checking out things that are unpopular, sermons that are unpopular. Well, tithing's on top of the list. In fact, it's tithing, and then it dropped about 20 percentage points down to the second place. So it's not even close. This is absolutely the most unpopular subject. And what they did was not only did they get the vote, but they could leave comments on the website. Now, these are the only ones I can actually read in a church service. A lady from Birmingham, Alabama responded, if I have to hear that Lexus driving pastor tell me one more time to give my money, I think I'm going to scream. Well, I don't have a Lexus, so you're safe. A man in Rochester, New York says, but Because if God created the universe, what does he need my money? He can make his own. Now, if I was getting a good service, some rocking tunes, and if this was in a bar,